And gentlemen, and welcome to the Ray Tampa podcast. Our podcast offers bold commentary on various subject matters with a laser-like focus on the truth. My name is Ray Tampa, and I'm the host of the Ray Tampa podcast. We have in our studio Mr. Russell Cato, a retired educator with more than 42 years of experience working in the Pinellas County schools. Our other co-host, Mr. Jamie Wilson III, is unavailable today. He's dealing with a family issue. And I ask that we all send prayers to Jamie and his family on the passing of his mother. We are pleased to have with us Miss Brandi Gabbard, St. Petersburg City Council member and mayoral candidate. Welcome to the Ray Tampa podcast, Brandi.
Thank you, Ray. Happy to be here.
Thank you. To begin, Ms. Gabbard, please share with our listeners a little information about yourself, such as where were you born, raised, and educated?
Well, I was born in a very, very small town in Indiana called Connorsville 50 years ago this year. I turned 50 this year. So
happy birthday.
Thank you. And was born and raised there until I turned 18 and then left to go to college. I went to Indiana State University, and that is in Terre Haute, Indiana. That is where I met my dear husband, and we moved to Indianapolis, where he is from, and lived there for a few years before settling in St. Petersburg in 2003. I was 27 years old.
Okay, great information, and thanks for sharing it. How long have you been a member of the St. Petersburg City Council?
This is my 9th year. I was elected in 2017, sworn in January of 2018.
9 years.
17.
And give me that date.
Was elected in November of 2017, sworn in January of 2018, and have served 2 terms. Now, you'll remember that the voters decided to align our elections with the presidential and gubernatorials, and so that gave all of us an extra year in the term that I am currently finishing up.
I'm aware. Thanks a lot. What might you say has been your most significant achievement during your time on council?
Well, I would certainly say that one of the things that I have worked on the most, and really the issue that I came to work on for the city of St. Petersburg, was even in 2018, the housing affordability crisis. I've done great work in that space, a lot of legislation that was groundbreaking and some of the first that had been passed in the state. And one of the things that I'm most proud of that I've done in the housing space was the passage of the Employee Assisted Housing Program. We have a program now under my leadership that actually gives stipends to city employees who are required to live in the city because of their union contracts. And we're finding it more and more difficult to be able to afford to live in the city. We now give monthly stipends for rental assistance for those individuals. And at the same time, we have a very robust financial literacy program that goes along with that, in the hopes that after 2 years of receiving that stipend, that they will be in a better position to be able to purchase a home in the city of St. Petersburg.
Awesome. Absolutely awesome. Recognizing a problem, and it is a problem, people living in the city.
Yes.
Or trying to live in the city and not being able to afford it. And the city making arrangements to help those individuals. That's a good point. Before I move on to allowing Russ, if you don't mind, Russ,
No.
I want you to answer this question.
Truly.
What might be the most disappointing incident, proposal, or development during your time on council?
Well, I try to look at the bright side of things, but let's be honest, there have been a lot of places where we have not necessarily succeeded as a city. When I talk specifically about various developments, I have always, as a city council member, been very tough on the agreements that we have executed, especially when those agreements come back for, amendments and such. So, I would say probably overall, without pointing to one specific development, I would just say I'm always continuously disappointed when we make a negotiation with a developer and then they come back time and time again for extensions or changes to the original proposal. I can think of, a couple off the top, which would have been, the Deuces Townhomes or the Central where PD used to be. Those were developments that I think had great intention when they were first brought before City Council. But certainly have had to have amendments and quite frankly didn't end up costing the same or being exactly what we would have liked them to have been from the beginning.
Hey, I really appreciate that information.
Yeah.
Russ, you have anything there at this point?
No, we'll continue.
Nothing at
Yeah,
this point?
yeah.
I want to stay with the Deuce
Yeah.
development for a moment. The council granted or issued enough funds to be exorbitant for that development.
Yes,
And you agree with that?
I do agree with that.
Okay. And at the point that people were recognizing that and critical of that, and I'm going to speak about Gypsy Gallardo in particular. Gypsy wrote a letter asking council to rescind what had been done. But, and Deborah Figgs Sanders moved to do that. But she couldn't do it for what reason?
I believe that it was because we were past the time to do that. In full disclosure, I was not there for the vote that happened to issue those funds. I had a conflict and was not able to attend one of the very few council meetings that I haven't attended over 9 years. Had I been on the dais that day, I would not have voted for that funding. I know. And because when you aren't there to vote or you vote in the affirmative, you can't be the one to ask for it to be rescinded either. So I was unfortunately a little handicapped on being able to help claw that back. But I've been very vocal. I would not have supported that vote. And I think, it unfortunately is a project that still we don't have people living in those units now.
Yeah, I pass by often. I look over there. And it looks nice, but nobody's there.
Right. It will be nice one day, but I think, we always have to ask ourselves at what cost.
At what cost?
Yeah.
And who can afford it?
And who can afford it.
Russ, if you're not familiar with that project,
No, I'm not.
it's across from where the Manhattan Casino is.
Okay.
Directly across.
Those houses over there.
The townhouses.
Okay, I saw those. Okay.
And
I saw
again, looks nice, but they were about $19 million overfunded.
I know.
Overfunded. And as Brandi suggested, council wanted to try and claw back some of that money,
Okay.
but they had allowed the deadline to pass where they could. So for people to live in those condos, they can't call them affordable by no stretch.
No.
And I do appreciate the information you just provided us. I want you to describe for us the moment you decided to
Yeah.
initiate a run for mayor.
Yeah.
I'd say it was probably a series of events, maybe not necessarily one particular moment. For me, and I've been very clear on this, that, I feel like everything in our city changed after the storms of 2024. And for me, the way that I looked at our city changed as well. And the way that I looked at the way that our city was being led. In those moments, people all across the city needed us to dig in, bring resources, do our best, and work collaboratively with a lens of empathy to really help people in their greatest time of need. I speak a lot on this directly from the district that I represent, District 2, because it was affected throughout every single neighborhood and our entire business community. And in those moments, I saw leadership that was more concerned about a failed project than they were about the people that we served.
Wow. Let's hold that statement right there. I saw a leader concerned about a failed project more than the people. Oh my God. And I call that a failed mayor. That's my term, a failed mayor. But I want you to elaborate even more on what you just said. You saw someone concerned about a failed project, meaning Tropicana Field.
The Raise Hines development.
Raise Hines development.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, in those moments when myself as a council member, my office, my team, every resident, whether they were damaged or not, were in the streets helping one another every single day, trying to connect resources. And every conversation I would have circling back to the administration, and we're not talking about the people doing the work every day, the people doing the work for this city, even when their own homes were damaged, were digging in and doing everything they could to respond. But when those conversations were had with the very top, the leader of our city, there was a lot more concern over what was going to happen at Tropicana Field and the redevelopment than the resources that our people needed. And for me, I don't want to leave anyone behind. And I want to make sure that we are all able to weather whatever storm, be it economic, be it environmental, that we can do that together. And I think that's what a leader should do. They should bring everyone together to make sure that there aren't winners and losers as we come out of a crisis for our city. And I did not see that as the type of leader that I want leading the city that I'm raising a child in. And it's certainly not the kind of leader that I would be in those moments.
Okay, I remember. Russ, you ready to jump in? Okay, go ahead. Okay, give me this one.
Good. No. You got it. I love
I
it.
remember reading a statement where you said,
Yeah.
I'm running to give our city a win.
Yeah. I was
You
gonna.
remember that statement? All right. Please explain that statement to us.
Well, we could use some wins right now. I think that, you talked a little bit about failed projects at the beginning. We've had a slew of those, and I chose just a couple to kind of point out. But I think that it has been, hiccup after hiccup in bringing a lot of projects in for a landing. And there's been a lot of questions, I think, about which projects we have even attempted. As soon as our current mayor was elected, there was, this hyper focus on whether or not we should do away with the airport instead of looking at the South St. Pete CRA to make sure that those dollars were actually affecting the businesses and the people that live in the CRA. Those are the kind of choices that as leaders, I would want to see us step up and make sure that we are bringing in for the residents. And those are the kind of wins that I talk about. Mm-hmm. When you have something that could be so powerful that could affect people's lives, why are we wasting our time on things that nobody has any bandwidth for us to move forward with? That's just one example that I can think of. And so I just think after almost 5 years of trying to get good things done for our city that will affect people's quality of life, the people are tired and they are ready for somebody who's going to be proactive, who's going to listen, who's going to be transparent in the decisions that are made, and really follow through with the promises. And, I think that that's what I mean when I say we need a win.
We need a win. Okay, I want you to reconcile that statement with this statement you made.
Okay.
Please clarify what you meant when you said, at a different time, I want to get the city back on track.
Well,
what track were you talking about?
I think I'm kind of going there with my answers, right? Getting back on track to make sure that when we are investing dollars in a program, a project, anything, that it has a direct result for the bottom line for everyday residents. And that's what I want us to get back on track. I want that accountability back in City Hall, where residents feel like they have a seat at the table, where our business community feels like they can continue to survive here in our city, and really just get us back to a place where we have proactive leadership that is working on solutions, not just burying our head in the sand on all of the challenges that we have, but really looking at what could happen when we bring people along in true promise.
Okay, Russ, you got anything?
Yeah.
All right.
I took a quote from one of your statements, and this is what you said: "The choice we make over the next year will define our future for the next generation." Could you explain that?
Absolutely. I talk about the choices that we make both at City Hall and the ones that the voters are going to make in the ballot box.
Okay.
Choosing a new mayor it's very influential to how things come out with our city. We can stay where we are, we can move forward with this administration, and I think we already see kind of what we're going to get for another 4 years. We can try an individual. There are several of them running who have never worked in our city hall, who don't know our budget, who don't know our processes. I think we'll see what a reset would look like, and maybe not to the benefit of our residents, because quite frankly, I don't think we have time for a learning curve. I'm ready to hit the ground running day one. I've been in our city processes, our budget, and our policies for the last 9 years. I know how they work, but more importantly, I know how they don't work. And so when people make their decision who is going to be their next mayor, I hope they're really doing that, looking at the future and the benefits that we need to bring to our community so that the next generation can be better off than where we are today.
Okay. Another thing I want to ask. I noticed one thing too. You big on this word proactive. I noticed that.
Yeah.
And my concern with this word is, what about preactive? Because my concern, what I look at now, because I look at musical chair, when being a person of the gas plant area myself, and I go back to 1980, because in 1980, that's when they started tearing the place down. Boom, boom. We have gone through, I think, Ray, 5 mayors, 5 of them. My thing is, where does the word preactive come in to this? Because to me, how can you be proactive and you fail preactive? I think all the years that's what is taking place. We have failed preactive. I noticed too, there are 2 things here: community and baseball. You see, I think we took the eyes off the community, and we looked at that word redevelopment. And we got caught up with that. Everything was redevelopment. Was it redevelopment for the gas plant area or redevelopment for baseball? That's where I get confused right now. You see? So my concern right now, as this thing going out, how are we looking at this? You see? Baseball is going to go. We know it's going. So my concern now is, if we're going to be proactive, what about the present being reactive now? That's what I'm concerned with.
Yeah, I mean, I think, and I've not been shy about saying this, that, looking at this site today is very different than even looking at it 2 years ago.
Sure.
I've not, you've been, very vocal about how you felt during the moments when we were working on the Ray's Hines redevelopment deal.
Yeah.
And frankly, I mean, we were on opposite sides of that, and that's okay. The vote that I took in those moments was because I did believe in the redevelopment opportunity that would come at that site with the Tampa Bay Rays as our anchor partner. I worked very hard on that deal. I worked to make sure that there was community benefit in that deal. I'm very aware of the community benefits process because I was on city council when it was passed. And I did believe in that deal at that time. But again, I go back to, we're a different city today. We're a different city because our vulnerabilities have been shown to us.
Yeah.
And we're a different city because economically, all of our residents are in a very different place than they were over 2 years ago.
Truly.
For us to look at that site the same way, I believe does a disservice, again, to the future generations that we owe, that it is our responsibility to be the best fiscal stewards we can possibly be in this time. And so I've led that charge on City Council to ask this administration to pause, but I didn't do that just in this moment. I started doing that immediately after that deal fell apart. We had an entire year before this unsolicited bid came along that we could have been already doing this planning process that I have asked for, so that we were in the driver's seat, so that we were telling the development community, this is how much land we're willing to sell or not sell. This is what we know we need there for ultimate community benefit and asset. And this is what we want out of it. We didn't do that. We waited and let the development community be in the driver's seat. And now we are in this reactive position. So when I talk about being proactive, that's what I mean.
Okay.
Let's stop reacting to what everyone else wants to throw at us on our greatest resource. And let's really talk about what it looks like for the community to be in charge of how we move forward.
Okay.
I like that.
I like that.
Endpoint. Yes, we were on opposite sides of the issue.
Yeah.
And yes, it's okay to disagree.
Absolutely.
I have many conversations with people in this community, and I tell them all the time it's okay to agree to disagree.
Absolutely.
So, always in my mind have that opportunity
Absolutely.
to agree, disagree.
And if I could make one point, I think that, our city is yearning for a leader who is open to conversations, not only with those who agree with us. Right? I mean, I've never been one to shy away from a conversation just because I know going into it that maybe we're not on the same page. I think that we do our best work when we figure out where we do agree, because most of the time, if you're there for the same goal, you can find out where you do agree and you can work from there. You may not leave that meeting completely on the same page, because if everybody's always agreeing, somebody's lying. But at the same time, it is a mayor and city council's responsibility to listen to the people that they serve.
You just said what I was trying to get out of my mouth, because the residents, the constituents have to believe that you all are listening.
Yes, yes.
And in Welch, we never believe he's willing to listen or that he's listening. At least from what I hear, people are voicing that all the time. A very, very prominent individual in our city, and I think this gentleman received a key to the city from a previous mayor, but he's so active, so active. He sat next to me at an event in the community and said to me, Ray, you need to get your flowers now. We don't need to wait until you're dead to give you your flowers.
Amen.
You need your flowers because we agree with what you're saying. He said, Ray, he asked, Ray, how long has, this is not about Ken Welch, this is your interview, but he said to me, how long has Ken Welch been in office? I said, a little more than 4 years. He said, before he went into office, he told me that he was going to give me a call, set up a meeting for me to come in and discuss with him what he could do to help this program he was working with. So he asked, how long has he been in office? And I told him a little more than 4 years. And I still haven't met with him. I still haven't met with him. And I've heard that too many times. Jet Jackson got a damn building named after him. Jet Jackson Recreation Center. And he pulled up a chair next to me, and I'll get back to you in a minute. At a meeting, Enoch Davis Center, and he asked me, Ray, what's wrong with our mayor? I asked him, what do you mean? He said, he's not returning people's phone calls. He's not meeting with people. What's wrong with him? I said, wow. I said, Jeff, you're saying what everybody else is saying. He's not accessible. He's not meeting with the community. And then I can name others, but I'll leave it alone because this is your interview.
Well, I mean, if I could just speak to, what my philosophy has always been, because I have been doing constituent service as a public servant for over 9 years now. And I am very proud to say that when I first came into city council, I was the first city council member to put together a newsletter. That might sound trivial, but what that is communication. I'm the first one to be out in our neighborhood meetings and in our neighborhood when they need it. I am available, and my office and myself, we pride ourselves on being as responsive as possible. And I know that being mayor is a big job and it's a big city, but you got to come up with ways that you can do that and make sure that you're constantly listening to the people that we serve.
Let me ask you something, Ray.
Go ahead.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, 2024, I think the realtors, your organization, they went along with Ken Welch. And in fact, I think you supported Ken Welch yourself. So my thing right now, and I want people to hear it, you're running against Ken Welch now. Is that because of his leadership ability, or because of what?
I believe that in this moment, our city needs a leader who is transparent, accountable, who is going to dig in, do the work every single day, who already knows how our city runs, but knows how we could do it better. And I believe I am that person. And that is why I'm running for mayor.
Good point.
Let me ask you one more thing, too. Knowing that, did you personally, just by yourself, go in and really sit down and talk with Ken and say, Ken, this thing ain't working right? Were you like that with him?
I had many meetings with the mayor for the first few years of working together.
Okay.
I considered myself to be, we actually had the joke, it's District 2. We were the office of how can we help you?
Right.
Because we believe that if you are successful, our entire city is successful.
Right.
Unfortunately, in those moments after the storm, when I became much more, I think, critical of how we were responding, things started to change. And I myself have not met with him since May of last year.
Okay. Good point.
I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. But what I wanted to do, and I don't have the time to do it, but I'm going to give you a minute or two to just tell the people why you feel you're the best qualified person to win this race.
Well, I've talked about my experience a lot, being on city council, but I mean, I started this journey as a neighborhood leader. I was in the neighborhood association. I'm a mom. I'm a businesswoman for over 20 years in our city. And I have seen our city grow over that time through all of those different lenses. And what I know is that we need a leader who is ready to act. I am committed to a more resilient city, a more affordable city, and a more livable city. And I'm committed to the people who make this city what it is every single day. And because I am coming to it not only with that experience, but that dedication of public service at the heart of it, I am ready to walk into the role day one and make change for this city. And that is why I'm ready.
I'm so thankful for you offering those comments. And I'm thankful for you being here.
Thank you for having me.
I really am. And we're at the end.
Yeah.
And I want to thank Russ, my co-host, for another job well done, as always. And I want to thank the viewers and ask that you continue tuning in to the Ray Tampa podcast each and every Tuesday, 5:30 p.m., 99.1 FM, The Bird. And I remind you, please call the Supervisor of Elections Office and request your mail-in ballots. This is critical. So once again, thanks to all. Good evening.